for your wonderful presentation. And we will be taking our question answer session as well later on. But first, before going towards our question answer session, I would like to throw a light on about the European Union. So, Ms. Yuli, if you can allow me, I would like to talk about few important things about the European Union, the treaties of the European Union, and why it was set up, and what basically is the European Union. So thank you again. Thank you again for your wonderful presentation and your the initiative of Global Collaboration Lab. And I appreciate this initiative as well. And we will continue to support you on this wherever possible. And thank you so much. Now I'll be talking about basically, because we have here the students of university and those who are studying international affairs or maybe somehow interested in diplomacy and foreign affairs. So for them, I'll be talking about what is the European Union. So this is basically a family of liberal democratic countries acting collectively through an institutionalized system of decision making. And when joining the EU, members sign up not only the body of EU treaties, legislations, and norms, but also to a set of common values that are shared common values based on democracy, human rights, and principles of social justice. Since its establishment in the 1990s, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So since its establishment in the 1950s, commentators have urged over the kind of body, what will be this body, what will be the European Union. So while there is a growing concern that the EU now sits somewhere between a traditional international organization and a state, or the question whether it resembles one of these models more than the other remains contested. So, although it might seem fair to claim that the European Union is unique or a hybrid body, even this point can be contentious, where it prevents researchers from seeing similarities between the EU and national system of government and international organizations. So the common institutions of the European Union, that is the European Commission, in which Ms. Julie also worked, European Parliament, European Council, and European Court, along with many other important bodies. These institutions are highly interdependent, and together they form a nexus for joint decision making in an extremely wide range of policy areas. I'll be not talking in detail about the policy areas because it will be too long. I'll be just highlighting the basic things about the European Union. So then I'll be talking about the treaties that are important and those treaties helped the creation of the European Union, which we see today. The Treaty of Paris, which set up the European Coal and Steel Community, and that was signed on 18th April 1951. It came into force in 1952. So this process of European Union, just started in 1950s practically. Then the Treaty of Rome, which set up the European Economic Community and European Atomic Energy Community, Euratom. That was signed on 25th of March 1957. It came into force on 1st January 1958. since 1950s, there have been several revisions to these treaties. Then the most important of these came after the mid-1980s. So basically this started from 1950s and this then goes on to 1980s, then 90s, then 2000 different treaties were adopted, different were ratified. Then after 1980s, the Single European Act, SEA, was signed in 1986. It came into force in July 1987. The Maastricht Treaty, that was, basically, we can say that created the European Union. That was signed in February 1992. And it came into force in November 1993. Then the Amsterdam Treaty was signed in 1997. It came into force in 1999. And then Nice Treaty.
We're having an operation tonight for what? This month.
Please unmute your mic, Emily. Then the Nice Treaty that was signed in Amsterdam was signed in 2000 and it came into force in 2001. And there are many other important treaties as well, but these were few of the treaties that played an important role in the creation of European Union. Then I'll be throwing light on the European institutions that are very famous, and we heard somewhere from someone, from our friends, about these institutions as well. The European Commission, that is, the executive and driving force of the Union. The European Parliament, that directly elects and represents the people of the Union. Then the Council of the European Union. So basically the Council of the European Union, or the Council of Ministers, comprising of the EU member states or national governments. So the representation from all the EU member states, they were appointed from the member states, and then they came into the Council of Ministers or EU Council. Then the Court of Justice, like we have ICJ, International Court of Justice, and in the EU there is the European Court of Justice. And this Court of Justice, ECJ, the body that ensures compliance with European law. Then we have the Economic and Social Committee, the Committee of Regions, the European Ombudsman, which deals with complaints of maladministration against the European institutions, the European Central Bank, which takes responsibility for monetary policy and for foreign exchange. Then we have the European Investment Bank, which finances public and private long-term investment. And there are many other agencies and organizations that are associated with the European Union as a whole. So this was, just the basic introduction. I'll be just ending up with the legislative procedures, and then I'll end up my speech. The legislative procedure, that is very important because that is the co-decision procedure. So the co-decision procedure is the main, decision-making procedure for the European community. It is based on the principle of parity, that no European decision can be taken without the agreement of both the EU Council and the European Parliament. So the consent of the EU Council and European Parliament is mandatory for decision making. Then the consultation procedure, that is also very important. The consultation procedure was the original European Commission decision-making procedure as outlined in the Treaty of Rome. Consultation allows the European Commission proposals and European Parliament to implement its proposals before the Council takes a decision. So that is also an important pillar. Then the use of anonymity is reserved for particular sensitive political or constitutional issues. Then we have the assent procedure, and that was introduced in the Single European Act, which I discussed before, Single European Act. And when this procedure is used, the Council has to get the agreement of the European Parliament before policy decisions are taken. Under this procedure, the Parliament can say yes or no to a proposal, but doesn't have any right to propose, amend to it, or any of the policy area covering European Union enlargement and international agreements. And the last one is the cooperation procedure that was introduced also in the Single European Act, SEA, and was extended by the Maastricht Treaty. However, at Amsterdam, governments agreed to privilege the co-decision procedure, that is the first procedure, and cut back on areas where cooperation was used. It is now used only for the economic and monetary union decisions. So that was just a bit of introduction about the European Union, what it is, what are its bodies, what are the treaties, and if anyone needs any kind of information, what I said, I can provide them through in a group or through email as well. So that's it from my side. So now moving towards Ms. Yuli, over to you if you would like to add anything, and then we will be moving towards our question answer session.